At least 5 are dead, including rescuers, after repeated drone strikes in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv. Emergency workers were at the scene responding to an initial airstrike when they were hit by a follow-up attack, and that's the sickness of it, targeting the responders. Fire broke out at the site. One of the strikes, another 10 people were injured. Joining us now to talk about it, someone who probably knows the region better than anyone I've ever met, professor of political science, resident expert on Russian affairs, Dr. Dick Farkas from DePaul. Dr. Farkas, thank you for your time.
Happy to share ideas.
First of all, question, Putin wins another 6 years as president of Russia until 2030. Then there was a terrorist attack there in which it's reported the U.S. government warned him of a threat 2 weeks before the attack that killed 144 people. So what does Putin do? He turns around and blames the U.S. Question here is, after he blamed the U.S., the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, came out and said Putin's wrong. Now, he's kind of like Putin's BFF. I mean, he's the guy who lured back the head of the Wagner group after his attempted coup, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and then Yevgeny Prigozhin went back to Russia. His plane got blown out of the sky. Coincidence? Am I missing something here? Like, you don't cross Putin? Is there like, is he this is significant potentially, right?
Well, these are threads that are pretty complex, and in fact, they're knotted. They're not. You're looking for a consistency that doesn't exist. Yeah, I'm afraid. Right. We could start with the terrorist attack. I think the explanation there is that we're still in that Cold War sort of mode of the two intelligence agencies, both in Russia and the United States, imagining themselves that they're in some manner of competition for accuracy and information. So there's a kind of a zero-sum mentality that says if the U.S. says it's true, it must be false. And we actually err on the same side in the sense that when we say the Russians are saying something, we tend to be very, very skeptical. When you talk about Lukashenko, that's really even more strange. Lukashenko is a bit of a nutcase in point of fact, and it's certainly true that Putin doesn't have any intrinsic advantage of allying himself with Lukashenko. They're increasingly birds of a feather. But in terms of predictability and consistency, Lukashenko is a lot like former President Trump on those variables. He loses big time. Now, okay, all of this would be more humorous and not significant if it weren't for the fact that recently Putin defensively had said that he was going to give Lukashenko, it hasn't happened, but he was going to give him tactical nuclear weapons. And putting tactical nuclear weapons in a new place in the hands of a unpredictable and inconsistent leader should be troubling to us.
Oh. Well, you just made me more worried than I thought I could be. 60 Minutes did a fascinating piece about U.S. intelligence members suffering from something called Havana syndrome, a strange, debilitating medical issue caused by really weird, unidentified, unknown technologies like ultrasound and like microwave signals as weapons. And it causes debilitating symptoms in these intelligence people scattered throughout the world. And it appears to be linked to Russia. Very Cold War. We've got an election around the corner. We know Putin's trifled with our elections before. Do you see him ramping up his efforts to cause chaos in the U.S. in 2024?
Well, let me start with the Havana thing. I think the reason that this is perplexing is that we mix medical experts with intelligence types, and they very often, as the 60 Minutes report suggested, they don't see the same things. And as a consequence, I think one has to make a judgment. My own judgment is that the Russians are, in fact, behind it, and that this is another example, like election interference, that is there's a series of projects that Putin puts on the table, and then various parts of the Russian government sort of pick up on those projects. And sometimes the projects move beyond Putin's understanding or his awareness or his ability to manage. I think both the Havana thing is likely to have its sources someplace deep in the recesses of Russian research or intelligence operations or intelligence projects. Now, when it comes to election interference, there's a real important challenge here for us to keep perspective. I think there's no question, but the Russians were poking and probing in the 2020 election. And it gave us great concern, and I think it should. But it's not a new phenomenon. It's not a one-way phenomenon. We mess with elections all the time in various places, using various techniques. I think the big picture lesson of the election interference concern is that we've got to we've got to clean up our own situation. We have to make adjustments in our system that makes it possible for us to handle it.
Okay.
For us to mitigate.
Dr. Farkas, I don't want to end without this last question. So that's a good point to end on. Like, but the onus is on us in part. So let's go to, interestingly, like, somehow Ukraine's become a wedge issue. Like, that threatened to divide, something that everyone was like, you can't let Russia take Ukraine. And now it's become an issue that's divided between Democrats and Republicans.
This should give us pause. I mean, it shows a fundamental weakness in our political system and in our ability to find compromise and a bipartisan foreign policy.
What does you, as an expert, what does the U.S.'s stance, what should it be?
Well, I have no doubt whatsoever that this is a fundamental, globally challenging reality, especially if you think in terms of the broad development of democracy in the world. The truth of the matter is we must, in my view, support the Ukrainians with whatever means we can. Now, the United States has been unable to come to that conclusion. The good news is that NATO has come to that conclusion.
Dr. Farkas, we have okay, one more thing. One more thing. You have one more thought. What do you got?
Well, NATO has made a commitment in spite of the U.S. malaise to go ahead with a $100 billion project to support Ukraine in the next 5 years. They call it Trump-proofing their commitment to Ukraine.
Right. But you think fundamentally America needs to stand with Ukraine. That's an interesting point from you. I mean, to most people, it's fundamental. You can't let Russia take free countries, sovereign nations. Dr. Farkas, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for your time. I always learn so much from you. We hope to have you on again soon. Thank you, sir.
Sure enough.